degradation is abnormal aging. That's the difference. When they bring that up in an X-ray MRI or something like that, they're looking at abnormal age. If I'm 50-something and my X-ray looks like a 70-year-old, it's degradation. You mainly see it in the bones. So, you got to know the difference between these two. Osteopenia is the precursor to osteoporosis. So osteoporosis, let's get there first, I guess. You start losing the horizontal struts in your bones. So when somebody tells me they used to be 6 foot, now they're 5'10", you'll see normal differences from morning to evening. So if you take a, you'll see it most obviously in like a younger person, 30 or less. You're tallest in the morning. By the end of the day, gravity pushing you down because your discs draw in fluid at night, you'll be about a quarter to a half inch shorter at the end of the day. That is perfectly normal. So, but if you're permanently shorter, because your discs start to harden at about 55, 60, they just kind of, we kind of dry out a little bit, like a better way of putting it. But we start losing bone unless you do something to bring this bone back on. So, it's just lower. It's going the wrong direction. Versus now we're in the severe category. Now, there's different ways to sort of deal with it, but 50% of all women at 50 are sort of this severe bone stuff. I mean, this is serious. Guys, we just tend to be a little heavier, tend to do heavier labor and different stuff. We seem to be a little more protected just because. It's interesting, if you are a heavier person, it's actually bone protective. Because you got to tote around all this extra weight. Kind of oxymoronic. But, all right, now we just talked about that. So, things you can't change. I can't pick your parents. I can't change your age. I can't change if you were in an accident as a kid. Yeah, these are the things we just can't change for the most part. You know, I always thought I was a big frame person until actually they said, no, you're a small frame. I'm like, oh man. Until you meet somebody that's like an NFL player. I remember I met Joe Montana. We're about the same height. He's like twice as thick and twice as broad as I am. On TV, he doesn't look it. You meet him, I'm like, holy crap, you're a big homie. But that's a broad frame person compared to a thin frame. Anyway. But we can change. That's why you're here. So your calcium intake. Yeah, you can adjust that. If you have an eating disorder, you need to get help. GI surgery, if somebody is, when they do the different bypass surgery stuff, it can mess with how your body can absorb nutrients, and that affects stuff. If you're on long-standing steroids, that can affect your bone. Obviously, don't smoke, don't drink excessively. But the biggest kicker of all of these is the bottom one. You can do all of these other ones, the smoking, drinking, steroids, and if you add it all up, it won't add up to the effect of a sedentary lifestyle. So, here are the recommendations. For women, this needs to start at 50, for men at 70. You absorb calcium better with vitamin D, D3 specifically. The research is going towards how well is vitamin K, and it has to be K2. So, but those are the latest recommendations. Oh yeah, what if I told you there was a fix to all this stuff? Who is he? I don't know. I hope we made $1 zillion off this thing because I love it. So, but yeah, not for sissies. You got some work to do. You got 4 things if you have osteoporosis, and this actually can be reversed. This is what's crazy. You actually can take somebody from osteoporosis to darn near normal in about 6 months to a year. But this is hard work. The first thing, and this is women in the room, you need to lift as heavy as you possibly can for your body. I don't care where you start, you keep building. You keep building. The second thing, you need to jump. Now, it sounds crazy if someone's like, I'm barely get out of the chair. Well, you start working on getting out of the chair first, and then the jump can be this. It doesn't have to be like, you know, feet up in the air and jumping off boxes and stuff, but you gotta get the stimulus to the body to make a change. It's called Wolff's Law. Your body will throw down more bone when you have a stimulus to create more bone. You gotta sprint. You're getting 2 to 3 times your own body weight when you sprint. Now, I'm not saying if you're 200 pounds, you need to be able to squat 600 pounds before we run you out on the field. But, yeah, this is the type of thing where that, once again, it's weight bearing that's going to help you out. I saw something, I can't back this up, but it made kind of sense. I guess it depends on their definition of sprinting, is that 90% of people over the age of 30 never sprint again in their life. In their life.
Say that
Like now, if it's a 100-yard dash, yeah, I could probably see that, but if we're talking like, is it a 40-yard dash or something like that? Like you not run for the bus or anything like that? Anyway, you got a question?
Oh, no, I just wanted that fact again. 90% over 30?
That 30-year-olds
Never
never sprint again in their life.
I thought I read something about, because I was reading about sprinting too, about when you're older, my age, that when you sprint, that sudden cardiac movement is not good for you.
Once again, you got to be cleared. And you don't start sprinting either. You know what I mean? It's like this all gets built to. You know, it's like if you're coming for me for an injury, it's like, yeah, we're doing the basics to get your pain down, your range of motion up, your strength up, to get to your function, to then get to the precursor. Like for sprinting, you need to be able to walk an hour, is my line in this thing. If you can't walk an hour, why are we even talking about sprinting? But if you walk an hour and we can do some step-ups and some squats and some basic lunges, all right, now you got the precursor to say, all right, we can do a little build-up job. Like there's ways to get there, but you just have to be smart on the progression. So this is, I'll give you that, this is the extreme. But we need the extreme to make a change. Yes?
Can we do the hour in 3 segments or something like that? Or does it have to be an hour continual?
Oh, did I say a time frame with this specifically, or?
No, when you said you need to be able to walk for an hour.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, ideally, yes. I want you to be able to go to the Moscow market and walk around the whole thing and be basically on your feet for an hour.
Okay.
That would just be kind of a life skill. And you know, is there any research to back it up? No. An 87-year-old mother can do it. So I'm like, okay, that's a reasonable thing. Yeah. Anyway, we'll be here in a minute. And you gotta eat protein. You gotta have the building blocks. Your body does, when you have protein intake, your liver totally steals most of the protein when it comes in first, because it's going to take some of that to store for potential sugar. But you can't take way too much or it's going to change to sugar anyway. So there's kind of a sweet spot in there, 20 to 30 grams of protein. Anything less than 20, your liver's going to pretty much take it all. You get too much more than 35, 40, now we're talking on like, yeah, your body's going to change to sugar anyway.
Per day or per meal?
That would be per meal, essentially. But once again, there's better, and once again, I'm not a nutritionist, but there's better ways to figure out, all right, what's my protein take, what's my body, Anyway, that's, you gotta eat protein, I'm just gonna say it there. Nora would say it has to be an animal product, but I know some people have choices of, I want to be vegan or vegetarian or different stuff. It's gonna be a little harder, because our body is kind of built for animal protein consumption, because we like fat. Our brains love fat. Okay, we get to the nasty stuff here. We don't want these. No, they're not normal. You can be 100 years old and tell me you fell down. It's not normal. There's 2 other things that are not normal as well. Dizziness is not normal. Incontinence is not normal. Falls are not normal. You tell me any of those 3 things, we got to dive a little deeper. So, what are the 2 main risk factors of falling?
Breaking a hip.
Nope. Anyone else?
Hit your heads.
I would say, well, what am I? Of course I know. 2 things. You've had a recent fall or you're afraid of falling. Those are the 2. Top of the list. Because what happens when you're afraid to fall? What do? You stop moving around. And then you stop moving, and then it's this downward spiral of less and less and less and less and less. So that's where, yeah, if that is a problem, you gotta get help with this. So, you're weak. It's not just muscle. My grandma, living with her in New York City is the mid-90s, and I get a call, she's in the hospital, and I'm like, what happened? I'm like, she fell. And they go, nope, she was standing and her pelvis broke. I was like, I'd never heard of that. But I remember looking at her, she was like an orange with like 2 toothpick legs, and she was just so sedentary. She'd sit and watch just TV all day, every day, and when it hit November, she wouldn't leave her apartment till basically April because she was afraid to slip in New York City. So it's just like this, just downward spiral, less and less and less. So yeah, it wasn't just her muscles that were weak, her bones just gave out. Vitamin D deficiency, 4 more medications is actually a risk for falling down, which I don't know, most people in this room, yeah, I'm on potentially more than 4 too. So yeah, it's just,
Is it busyness? Is that why?
it's, yes, it can be just an interaction between drugs. And it's not always the person that prescribes it that figures it out. It's your pharmacist that goes, wait a minute, these 2 don't work. And then they have to talk to the 2 doctors and say, hey, is there an alternative? So that's where you just have to be aware. Because what you should be doing with your doctors all the time is saying like, okay, I was on this dose. Is this still the proper dose? Because I lost 10 pounds. Should I still be on that same? You know, it's the, what do we call the, drawing a blank here. Anyway, but it's like, oh, the least therapeutic dose is what you want to be on. If you have a 50 milligram one and a 5 milligram, and they both do the job, where's be on the 5? Oop. Here we go. Certainly, pain effects, tripping hazards, and visual problems. Yeah, with the visual changes, you have a tough time determining, it's called contrast sensitivity. You can't tell black from white very well. And so, at night, what do we all look like? Yeah. What do? We get wide, we get low, we turn our feet out, we walk like a penguin. Yeah, we're just naturally lowering our center of gravity so we have a better chance to survive to go to the bathroom and back.
I started turning on the light, that helps a lot.
Which is fine, which is fine. Quick little note, if you're getting up more than twice a night, that's excessive. 2 times or less is normal. 3 times, you need to go talk to somebody. Okay, big numbers. This 37% is an uptick from the last time I did this talk. That was about 10 years ago, and it was 25 to 30%. So, but the ballpark stats is okay, 1 in 4 people fall down, ballpark, and women are a higher percentage of the men that have to go get helped out. Because once again, we're talking about the bone loss, smaller, weaker. And it's just, but fixable. And then of the people that go, so we're talking about 1 in 4 people fall down. Roughly 1 of those 4 have to go to the hospital. Of 4 that go, 1 of those 4 will not survive likely in the next year. They just never recover. They just never, it's just downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral. So yeah, the statistics are horrible. It's about 50,000 people a year die directly due to fall. The rest, the numbers are higher because it's afterwards, it's just this downward spiral. So, all right, whew. The ugly part's over. That's how you fix this stuff. And this is what's recommended. American College of Sports Medicine, Center for Disease Control, Heart Association, World Health Organization. The guidelines are almost all the same. But when we look around the country, 25% of people have a gym membership. But of the people that go, only 14% are meeting the guidelines that I'm going to show you. Now, a higher percentage are doing part of, but my job as a PT is to find your hole and say, you know what? Here's what you need to work on. Because you're doing all this great cardio, you got to do some strength training. Oh, you're doing this great stuff, yoga? Oh, great, yeah, you got to do something else. So you're kind of, you got, once again, I'm the disinterested third person to be like, yeah, here's something you should work on. But nobody's perfect. No program is perfect. So, now, the bare minimum is 150 minutes a week. That is the bare minimum. People that do better do more. That's just a fact. Wrong button, sorry.
A lot of that has to do with age, too.
Yes, and maybe not. I would say do what you can. Because the body, we can see changes in people in their hundreds. So it's literally like we have no excuse. Unless somebody tells me they're 101 in here, we just got to start where we are. That's it. You just got to be doggedly consistent. And so, now, I think you need, I tell you what has changed for me in my 50s compared to my 30s and younger is how much smarter I am with how I listen to my body. Because if I'm just like not feeling it, it is not smart for me to go, yeah, I'm doing the percent, you know, on the different classes I do, they have a percentage of your personal best in whatever exercise it is. Let's just say it's, my personal best is 100 pounds, and today they're saying do 60% of that. So I should be lifting up a 60-pounder, theoretically. If I'm not feeling it, my personal best that day is actually probably 80. So I should be doing 60% of 80, not 100. And so that's how you need to adjust it. I love the other day, I was in one of the exercise classes I was at, and the coach, Connor, goes, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm just really tired, I'm just exhausted. He's like, I'm just glad you're here. Just do what you can. It's like, all right, I didn't feel like I was mailing it in. I didn't, you know, it's like you just felt like, hey, what a neat way to just keep somebody included. And you know what I ended up doing that day? had a personal best in one of the lifts. I just felt better and better and better as the day progressed. And I was like, imagine that. All right, quickly. All right, so we got the moderate exercise of 150 minutes. If you can get to strenuous exercise, where when you're working you can't really talk, you only have to do half that. So here's your efficiency thing. If you're a busy person, you've got to work up to that, but it's only half of it. I think that's kind of fascinating. But it's the difference between walking and maybe going for a jog. Yeah, we could both go for 15 minutes. I'm going to probably go 3 times as far jogging than you will walking. It's not to be judged. It's just more so, it's going to be more strenuous going for that jog than it is the walk. That's the difference. Now, the work being done is exactly the same if you go the same distance. It does not matter if you walk a mile or run a mile. The work being done is exactly the same. So it's just a matter of time. It's the intensity that you're sort of fiddling with.
Really,
Judy.
it was so hopeful from a PT with my 95-year-old dad. One of the family members wanted to have dad quit PT, and I was going, no. Oh, he doesn't need it. It's a lost cause. And you know what the PT said? Your dad needs PT till he's 6 feet under. I mean, because there was hope. Here's dad doing reps, 2 months before he's dying. And they said you need function. It keeps his function.
I mean, there's a lot of great research. I don't get into it on this, but Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, all of it. What does it do when you exercise? You're pumping blood. You're clearing stuff through the brain, and that's what we need. And so they're finding the people that do that tend to have the slowest progressions of all of those. So once again, here's your fountain of youth. So you got 3 pillars of exercise, and this is what all the groups basically say. You got your aerobic exercise, your strength training, and once again, 2 times a week for each large muscle group. Gotta lift stuff up. The new thing is balance. The bare minimum is twice a week. Bare minimum. I would say, and here's the thing, if I see somebody walk in the door and they're like, oh, my balance is horrible, I know they can work on it. You know why? 40% of the time they're on one foot. You're balancing, I'm balancing, I'm balancing, I'm balancing, I'm balancing. And so if you can practice, you'll get better at it. The lowest common denominator in the bird balance test is 10 seconds, balancing on one foot. I see other tests, you have to do it a minute. But that's just basic balance. You can have your eyes forward, eyes open, head not moving, foot's on the ground. Can you do it 10 seconds? I think that's like the starter. Now, twice a week, it'll make some improvement. You do it twice a day for a month, you're gonna get really good really fast. Because it's not about strength, it's about coordination. It's about a motor pattern that you're creating due to practicing. It's no different if I said, all right, let's get really good at the accordion, but you only get it twice a week. All right, what if I give it to you 5 minutes twice a day on that accordion? My grandfather used to play the accordion. And his 75th birthday, he goes, thank you so much for coming, I love you all. I hate to do this to you, I'm gonna play my accordion. All right, so for me, there's a fourth. And this isn't in the literature, this is just me, and I think for some of us out there, the people I see, there's a spectrum. There's the tight people, there's the big hump where your C students are in school, this is the average, there's the loosey-goosey people. Flexibility stuff. I need to work my butt off just to be average. And that stinks. Because but here's the thing, if you're the loosey-goosey side, you're way ahead of the game. Like, you don't have to worry about the range of motion. I have to, she's over there doing the splits. I'm like jealous as all get up when I see people just squat down super easy and shoulder overhead and all that stuff. Like, I have to work just to be crappy at what I do. Anyway, all right. Okay, this is where I'm going to apologize. We have done you folks in the medical world, from us to you, no favors by giving you the yellow TheraBand or the pink weights or stuff like that. You know why? It's not heavy enough for you. It's not strong enough for you. It is not. That is my PT hat. I could stand over here in the athletic training hat and say the exact same thing. The only people who have gotten this right are the strength and conditioning people. They have forever, if you were somebody that were in the strength and conditioning world showing up, they were putting more weight on your bar every week because you could do it. And so it's like, we got it wrong for a long, long time. Because yeah, the yellow TheraBand and the pink weight ain't enough. It might be where you start, it better not be where you finish. Because yeah, it's just not enough. So, when we get to this is what's different. Physical activity, this is where I see these as activities of daily living. Because it is not objective. I can't tell how many leaves you raked, how many things of laundry did you do, how many dishes did you do. To me, those are activities. It's better than sitting around, but it's not going to move the needle. Like none of those make you huff and puff, really. You know what I mean? It's kind of, yes, gardening, you could say I'm lifting up heavy stuff. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that to a certain extent, but it's still not stressing your body to a level that's going to make a huge, huge change. This is my opinion on all this, by the way. Exercise. Objective, measurable, purposeful. You're going to see some changes if you do stuff. It depends on what you're working on, will depend on what you change. But you got to be doggedly consistent. This is what's new. Am I doing it for something? That's the difference. I say this to my patients all the time. You can't play train anymore. You're not 20. You can't just show up and just expect pickleball to go well. It's like you need to prepare to do pickleball. You need to prepare to walk your grandkid around Disney World because you're going to be on your feet for 10 hours a day. You better prepare for that. So, yeah, you got to break down what you're doing. I played basketball in college. I was also a track athlete in college. My brother, during the summer, asked me to go to a softball tournament with him. I'm thinking I'm hot stuff. I'm in great shape. I've never been more sore in my life. You know why? I was in basketball shape, not softball shape. Next day, my forearms were killing me, my abs were killing me, I was sunburned, I was tired. I was like, I gotta give these people a little more respect. I played like 4 games in a day, but I was exhausted. But it's like, when you think softball, you're like, oh, beer league. It's like, yeah, there's still more to it. Anyway, gotta give respect to just something different when you've been trained, not specific for that thing. Okay, these are my favorite success stories. So, guy comes in, I want to walk my granddaughter down the aisle, it's on grass, I gotta do 150 feet, I don't want to use my cane, help. You give me 3 months. Right, I know exactly what you need, what we're doing it on, and what the situation is. I can help you get there in 3 months. That's like the bare minimum though. Lady, 80 years old, smoking in the parking lot. She'd come in, walk in the Great Wall of China. She's going to walk 3 to 5 miles per day on cobblestone, up and down stairs all day for those 3 to 5 miles. So, I don't hear from her for a year. All of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this postcard. Great Wall of China, other side, piece of cake. I'm like, man. The one I'm most annoyed about is the next one. Person gave me 18 months to prepare for his last big marathon. Like, what a commitment to come to me to help him get going. Ask one thing of him. Give me a picture of you crossing the finish line so I can put it up, so I can say, Joe Schmo here, he just crossed it. Look at this great story, 18 months. You know what he did? Never sent it. I'm tempted to get a Getty image and just like, there he is. Just make it up. Anyway, so, but that's commitment. That's big time. Like, I want to do it just one more time. He didn't care about the time. He just wanted to do it one more time. So, opposite of that. Not so successful story. Somebody showed up 4 days before the New York City Marathon. Yeah, I don't know how well she did. I figured out her problem. The question is, could she get it fixed in 4 days? I don't know. I never found out. But I'm like, that's the difference. I'm not a miracle worker. But once again, it's like we got to think 3 to 6 months ahead for something we want to do. You're going to have the best chance. So here we are in summer. You want to do something in the fall? Now's the time to prepare for it. You want to get ready for snowshoeing or cross-country skiing or skiing in the winter? Now's a great time to get ready. Now you got 6 months. You want to play spring, whatever. Now you got 9 months. I mean, this is how you got to think about it. Unless you're doing something consistent where, yeah, you're getting sort of these different variations. So,